Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today. I promised my viewers that I would go through my homemade watercolor palette. So that's what we're going to do today. And at the end, I'm actually going to refill some of my wells. I know a lot of people like to watch that sort of thing, so that's what we're doing today. If you're interested in that, stay tuned. We'll get right into it. Okay, so I have my own homemade swatch card. I have my base colors here, and then I have additions, which you'll see here in a moment. Now, I just cleaned this today for you, but it is the first time I cleaned this since I made it. And it's been about over a year. So I did that just for you. I typically don't clean it. I just keep using the goodies I've got mixed up. It seems I'm going for the same colors over and over. But I'm going to keep it just like this. And feel free to grab a beverage as I have. It's supposed to be a nice, just relaxing video. Let me put out my paint tube so you can see what I have going here. Okay, and here are all my tubes, which I will be refilling a few of them. I'm going to make a swap out too. But I'm going to first talk about my whites, which you don't see in my actual palette. And that is because the whites always get so yucky anyway. I use these little cups. Now, originally I got these for alcohol ink, but I think they're for tattoo inks. They're silicone, so they stick down here pretty nice. And I'll put a little bit of my M-Gram Titanium White Permanent Artist Gouache or Liquitex Acrylic Ink Titanium White, Liquitex Acrylic Gouache Titanium White. I also have some Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White somewhere around here, but I keep it in its own little pot. But I like to use these for my whites so they don't get contaminated with other colors. So that's why you don't see any white in this palette right now. This is what I use, and I will put these off to the side. Now, as you notice, the majority of my palette is M-Gram. That is my favorite watercolor. My husband just recently bought me some Sennelier, and I have one in here now. I'm going to replace one with a Sennelier today. They're both a honey-based formula, which I really like. And of course, you're going to see my other one is Daniel Smith here and there, and I think that's all I work with. Is M-Gram, Sennelier, and Daniel Smith. So let's go through these one by one. I have here, I like Payne's Gray. It's my favorite color of watercolor. I use it the most. So I have a few different varieties here because I love it. Each brand has a different undertone of neutral tint or Payne's Gray. Payne's Gray tends to lean more bluish. Neutral tint tends to lean a little more purple, at least the Sennelier one does. So Payne's Gray, first well, use it the most. This is my second tube of it. This is Sennelier Neutral Tint. I liked it because it almost looked like Moon Glow. I love Moon Glow. Love it. But so this is kind of in the middle. It's a purplish, barely purplish neutral tint. I love this. Happy addition to my palette. And of course, here is Moon Glow. It's one of the Daniel Smith sticks, which is a very good buy for your money. It is a little harder to rework, but when I get out my palette, I immediately douse it down with water, maybe put a couple of drops in the bottom, and you can usually work it up pretty good. My dark, cool brown is a M-Gram Raw Umber. My purple, we have Deoxazine Purple M-Gram, of course. Now here is another Daniel Smith. This is Rose of Ultramarine. Beautiful color. Absolutely beautiful. I think I got this little guy in a sketch box. I think a long time ago. I don't know if this is it might be the original tube because we got little ones. Beautiful color. Now, here we go, Daniel Smith. This is Royal Scarlet. I barely use red. I just don't. Every once in a while I'll paint a cardinal here and there, but I've got my Kiritaki watercolors that has a beautiful red, the color of a cardinal, and I tend to use that palette for those kind of works. So I bet you I've only dipped into this a couple of times. I could actually take it out of my palette, but now it's dried in there, so there you go. Alizarin Crimson, Daniel Smith. This is another one of the sticks. Great buy. We have Burnt Sienna, M. Graham. Very nice. Almost looks like rust. But then beside it we have an actual Quinacridrome Rust, M. Graham. Now this is the one that I'm going to take out today later. It's Nickel Azo Yellow by Daniel Smith. And I got it because it was one of those sticks. I just never, ever get into this color. I'm not sure why. It's slightly close to the one beside it. It's a very nice, pretty gold color, but I just never use it for whatever reason. Don't know. So today I'm going to replace it with the Sennelier. What do we got here? Just Sennelier Yellow Deep. And here's a swatch card of the new Sennelier I'm putting in here. It's a very pretty, like, marigold color. So I'm hoping maybe I'll get some more use out of the Sennelier and take out the Nickel Azo. It's just kind of wasting space right now. And I have next Yellow Ochre, M. Graham. Azo Green, M. Graham. Serpentine, Daniel Smith. It's a stick. In the corner here we have, oh, here's the name, I just can't ever pronounce this. Phthalo Cyan Green Yellow shade. M. Graham. Very pretty. Very vibrant green. Like an emerald. It's not really a hooker's. I guess it could be comparable to a hooker's green, just slightly more blue. And then my favorite green is Viridian, and mine is by Daniel Smith. Beautiful color. Now this next one is a little bit controversial for myself. I know I started out with Mayan Blue Genuine by Daniel Smith. Very pretty color. I also have Prussian Blue by M. Graham. I don't know what's in here. It almost looks like M. Graham because the Daniel Smith colors, they dry a little harder, and this doesn't look to be that dried. It's kind of got that glossy effect as the M. Grahams do. I swatched these out and they are identical. I can't tell them apart, therefore I'm not really sure what's in here. I'm guessing it's not Daniel Smith and it's the M. Graham. Anyway, these are both a great option, and when one's gone, I'll use the other. They're identical on paper. Right, and then my blue is Ultramarine Deep by Daniel Smith. When I run out of this, I have Sennelier Ultramarine Deep that looks the same, so I'll probably use that up next. Now these little guys in the middle. These are things I have collected or was sent to me in a sample, or actually this one on the side here is, let me adjust my color. This is Daniel Smith Payne's Gray. It has a slightly different hue of blue, so I have put it in my palette because it is my favorite color. This, I don't remember where I got it, but it is a slate gray color, slightly granulating. It's kind of interesting, and it's, it's not bad to have in a palette when you need some gray. These two little things I got as samples. I thought I'd just throw them in here trying to at least use them. I actually never have used either of them. Like I said, red is not a color I reach for a lot, and pink almost never. Over here, I thought I needed a brighter yellow, and I came across this Daniel Smith Hansa Yellow Light in one of my other little palettes. I get rid of the other palette, and I kept this. I got this somewhere along the line, and it's a pretty green, so I kept it. Cascade Green by Daniel Smith. And finally, I think, which is a very important color, overlooked, is Buff Titanium by Daniel Smith. This is a handy color to have in your palette. And as you can see, I use it a lot, and I'm going to refill it. So I could almost put this buff color here and not have an extra yellow, which I think I'm going to do. I'm going to put my buff here. And yeah, that's probably the only changes I'm going to make to this palette at this time. So I'm going to leave my Sennelier out, put my buff here, and call it a day. I am going to fill up these pans. You are welcome to stay and watch this. I know a lot of people like to see watercolors getting filled. If you like these kind of videos, please let me know down below. I know I like to see what other artists use in their everyday watercolor palette. Everybody uses different colors. I like my convenience colors. I don't like to mix a whole lot. I know I like what I like, and that's what's in my palette. So let's get to filling up these wells.